Hi friends, welcome to my channel. My name is Juan. I'm a yarn addict, hence the name Juan the Yarn Addict, and I hope you guys are all doing fantastic today. Today I bring you guys a tutorial, a hat and scarf combination that I would like to call Cambridge Nights. The name came from a good friend of mine, Thriss, over at Thriss and Stitches. Be sure to check out her channel. Once again, thank you so much, Thriss. We were on the same page, but you had the perfect name, and I needed to go with that. So with your permission, I am using the name for this project. Once again, thank you, Thriss. So this, as I just mentioned, is a hat and scarf combination. I am using Big Twist Gentle. It's a thin 5-weight yarn. It's a 5-weight bulky, but it's thinner than your typical 5-weight yarns. So I would highly recommend that you would either use a 5-weight yarn or a 4-weight yarn for this project. This here is an alternative to the Alpine stitch. The alternative is on row 3, instead of using a front post double crochet, I'm using a front post treble crochet. So this is kind of what it looks like. This is the hat, and I'm using a basic crown, and then just the Alpine stitch, but again, row 3 being trebles instead of doubles. And I chose to do a front post treble crochet because I love stitch definition, I love texture, and I just felt that the front post treble crochet is the stitch for me in terms of giving it the texture and detail that I want. And then of course I did half double crochets at the bottom part of the brim there just to finish it off. And then for the scarf, I actually did 25 across, and this is kind of what it looks like. I did 25 across. It's a 4-row repeat. It's so easy. It's so much fun. It goes very quickly. But I am absolutely in love with this pattern, with the way all of it is lining up. That definition, the stitches, it's just absolutely amazing. So what I did was I wanted to make sure that you guys had help along the entire way. So if you notice, the video is quite long, but that's because I wanted to make sure that I didn't skip through anything. I wanted to make sure that I was with you from tip to brim. So every row I'm with you along the way. Of course I do pause and things like that, but I just wanted to make sure that you guys had the support. This tutorial is made for everyone. It is in an intermediate pattern, so please don't let that deter you. I took my time to make sure that even beginners can bring their yarn and their hooks and join in on the fun. So the first tutorial here is just going to be the hat, and then I'm going to roll out a second tutorial following this for the scarf. And ideally, Cambridge Nights comes together in a set just like this. Okay, so oh yes, the colorway. So the colorway that I chose for this tutorial is charcoal, although it looks like a heather gray to me. I went into detail about this in one of my other videos, but the other colorway here is called denim, and it is Big Twist. So without further ado, I'm just going to jump right into the tutorial. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns, please sound off in the comments below. So I will see you on the flip side, guys. Hi friends, so for this tutorial, the materials that you're going to need will be a pair of scissors, a darning needle, 2 contrasting colors of yarn. In this particular case, I chose Karen 1 pound in the color Off-White, and Loops and Threads Impeccable yarn in the colorway Purple. And we're going to need our crochet hook. But for the purposes of this tutorial, while I'm working with the lighter color yarn, I will be using the darker hook. And while I'm working with the darker yarn, I will be using the lighter hook. But in either case, both crochet hooks are 6mm US letter J. Okay, and so without further ado, let's get started. Okay guys, so I chose to start with my darker color of the two contrasting colors. And so what we need to do now is we need to create a slip knot. So how I do mine is I place my thumb on my hook like that. Then I wrap around, and then I take the tail and I go over the head. And then I wrap my yarn around the head of my hook and I go through. And then I just tighten everything up. So that's how I do mine. But however you choose to do yours is fine, so long as the end result looks like this. Okay? So now what we need to do is we need to chain 4. So that's 1, 2, 3, and 4. And now we need to insert the head of our hook into the first chain. Just like that. Grab your yarn and slip it all the way to the beginning there. And so what will form is a little circle here. Okay? From here, what we need to do is chain 2. 1, 2. Now holding on to your tail with the chain, just like this. What we need to do is insert 12 double crochets into the circle. Just like this. So you wrap around, go into your circle, pull the yarn through, go through 2, go through 2. And you're going to want to do 12 of those. I'll do one more with you. So wrap over, go into the circle, pull through, go through 2, go through 2. And once you have a couple of them done, you can leave the tail go and just focus on your circle. So far we have 3 here. Continue going all the way around and I will meet you when we have 12. Okay? Okay, so after you verify that you've had 12 double crochets, what we need to do is insert the head of our hook into the first double crochet. So in our case, it's going to be right here. Okay, it may look a little wonky and off to the side, but in either case, you just want to look for that first double crochet and then go into the top of that stitch with the head of your hook. Just like that. And then you just want to slip stitch, just like that. And now what you want to do is you want to chain 1. Okay. And so from here, what we need to do is we need to place 2 double crochets into every one of these 12 double crochets. Okay, so we're going to go from 12 to 24 stitches. So starting in the same stitch that you just came out of, you want to wrap around and go into your stitch, pull through, go through 2, and go through 2. And for every double crochet from the previous row, you want to insert 2 all the way around. Okay, so I'll do a couple more with you guys. 2 there. And 2 there. Okay, so continue doing that and I will meet you at the end of round 2. Okay, once you have verified that you've had 24 stitches for round 2, which is 2 double crochets in every stitch going around here, what we want to do is slip into the very first double crochet from the beginning of round 2, which is right there. Okay, let's insert the head of our hook right into there, grab our yarn and slip to close. Okay, so now for round 3, what we want to have is 36 stitches. So in order to achieve that, what we need to do is chain 1 and then place a double crochet in this very first stitch that you just came out of. So let's wrap, go in, pull through, and then go through 2 and go through 2, just like that. Okay, now for the next stitch, we want to do twins in a stitch. So it's 2 double crochets in the same stitch. And then for the next one, we just want to do a solo stitch. One right by itself. And that's the pattern for round 3. So it's going to be 1, 2, 1, 2, all the way around until we get to the end of round 3. So we had 1 here, and then 2, and then 1, and then 2, and then 1. And at the end of round 3, we will have 36 double crochets. So I will meet you at the end of round 3. Okay, friends, so for the end of round 3, you should have ended with twins in a stitch. So 2 double crochets in the stitch here. Once you have verified that you have 36 stitches going around, what we want to do is insert our hook into the very first double crochet of round 3, which is right there where the darning needle is. Okay. So we're just going to insert the head of our hook into that stitch and slip to close, just like that. So to begin round 4, what we need to do is chain 1, and for round 4 we need 48 stitches. So in order to achieve this, what we need to do is start with a double crochet in the very first stitch that we came out of, which would be right there. So double crochet, just like that. And then for the next stitch, just a double crochet. And now we need twins in a stitch. So 2 double crochets in this particular stitch. And that's the repeat here. So 1, 1, 2, 1, 1, 2, all the way around. And with that, you will achieve 48 double crochets. Let me just make sure I grab both sides. There we go. 1, 1, and then 2, twins in a stitch. Okay. 1, 1, and 2. And this is kind of what we're looking like here. Let me get the needle off of here just to show you. So twins in a stitch, single, single, twins in a stitch. All double crochets, okay? So continue working that repeat, 1, 1, 2, all the way around, and I will meet you at the end of round 4, okay? Okay, we are at the end of round 4, and you should have a total of 48 stitches. And once you have verified that you have 48 stitches around, what you want to do is you want to insert the head of your hook into the very first double crochet right there. Now the stitch, if you haven't already noticed, it's going to be tilted to the side. It's going to be easy to miss. So just make sure that you're looking at it. Just look at that first double crochet. Just go into the top there. Okay. So we're going to insert the head of our hook there and just slip to close. Okay. Let me just back this up a little bit. There we go. Okay. So if it cups up a little bit, that's fine. We are making a hat, so it's good. The next thing we need to do is begin round 5 with a chain 1. And for round 5, it's going to consist of 60 stitches, and this will be the last round that we increase. However, if you're making this hat for a child, this is where you would stop, and no more increases for you. So what would happen is you would continue with the same color, but no increases if you're making a hat for a kid. But for adults, we have to continue one more round with increases. So we're going to insert our hook into the stitch we came out of with a double crochet. So first stitch, just 1. The second stitch, just 1. The third stitch, just 1. So now you have 3 singles, and then the fourth one here is going to be twins in a stitch. So 2 double crochets into the fourth one, and that's going to be the repeat. 1, 2, 3 by themselves, and then 2 into the fourth one there. So 1, 1, 1, 2 all the way around. I'll do another round here with you. So it's 1, 1, 1, and then twins in a stitch, 2. Just like that. Okay? So continue doing that all the way around, and I will meet you at the end of round 5. Okay, friends, so I just finished round 5. And with that comes 60 double crochets. So to end round 5, we need to slip into the very first double crochet, as is the case with the previous rounds there. So just because the color is dark, I'm going to show you. It's going to be right here. That's the first double crochet of round 5, and that's where we're going to insert the head of our hook. Okay, so we're going to go back in here, and then go in here. And then we're going to slip to close. Okay, so that concludes round 5. Now let's just take a quick measurement. Went into the toolbox, grab a tape measure. Okay, so yes, we need to have about 7 inches, and that's what we have here. So that's perfect, spot on. Okay, so somewhere between 6 and 7, no more than 7.5 inches. Okay, and of course, if you're making a hat for a child, you want to have somewhere in the realms of 5.5 inches. Okay, so there we have that. So here we are. We're going to begin round 6. And we're going to start with a chain 1, and then we're going to go right into the chain we came out of with a single crochet. And what we're going to do is we're going to insert a single crochet into every stitch, no increases, all the way around. Every stitch gets a single crochet. Okay, just like that. And for this round, you should have 60 stitches because there are no increases. And I will see you at the end of round 6. Okay, friends, so I reached the end of round 6. And now what we need to do is we need to insert the head of our hook into the first single crochet, like so, like that. So grab the yarn, pull through, and slip to close. And it should look like that. Okay, to start round 7, we need to chain 1, and we need to insert a double crochet into the first stitch we just came out of. Just like that. So the chain 1 and the double crochet will be counted as 1 stitch going forward. Okay, so now what we need to do is we need to insert a front post treble crochet in the next stitch 2 rows below. So let me just zoom in and break this down. Okay, so what needs to happen is we need to insert right there. Okay, so if we break this apart, this double crochet in the chain 1, that's counted as 1 stitch this whole way through. Okay, and so what we're doing is we're doing an alternation between a double crochet and a front post treble crochet. And we're going to skip the stitch up here because we're going into the stitch down here. Okay, so we're going to wrap our hook around twice. 1, 2. And then what we're going to do is we're going to come down here. And we're going to wrap around, go through 2, wrap around, go through 2, wrap around, go through 2. And it's going to look like that. And if you pull this back, let me move all this out of the way. If you pull this back, we're going to skip this stitch right here. This particular stitch, we're skipping. We're going to move on to this stitch. And this particular stitch is going to get a double crochet. Okay? So we're going to wrap around and then just do a double crochet just like that. And then we're going to skip this double crochet and we're going to come over here and do a front post treble crochet in this stitch. Wrap twice, go around, come through, go through 2, go through 2, go through 2. And you'll notice a pattern starting here. You're going to pull this back and you're going to notice there's a stitch that's covering it. You're going to skip that stitch. So when you turn your work around, you should see skip stitches here. You're going to go into every other one up here with a double crochet, and every other one down here with a front post treble crochet. So I'm going to back this up just a little bit, actually. Okay. So what usually helps me is when I do the front post treble crochet, I look directly next door here. Then I go up, and that's where I'm going to insert my hook for a double crochet. And then I'm going to wrap around twice and come into the next one here. So I did one here, I'm going to skip and go here. It's literally every other one. And if every now and then I would like to turn my work around and just make sure that I'm skipping one stitch and I didn't accidentally skip two. You want to make sure that you're doing every other one. Okay? So let's continue. We're going to look next door and go up. And we're going to insert our hook for a double crochet. Okay? Let's do a couple more. So we're going to wrap around twice because we did the double crochet. Now the next is the front post treble crochet. So we wrapped around twice, and now what we need to do is look down here. We had one here, so we're going to skip this one, and we're going to go to this one. We're going to go insert and go around. Go through two, and go through two. Just like that. Look next door and then go up. And then we need to perform a double crochet right there. So I just think of it as columns all the way around. That's going to help. That helps. You look straight up and down. Okay, so this double crochet went with this stitch here. So we're just going to skip one over here. Wrap around twice, come down, go through two, and go through two. Just like that. And then the next stitch gets a double crochet. So if we lay our work down, this is kind of what it's looking like. Every other stitch gets a front post treble. And then in between the trebles, a double crochet. You're going to do that all the way around. And it's going to be 60 stitches all the way around, okay? And I will meet you guys at the end. And if you're not sure about this, just rewind me back to the beginning here and replay that. Okay? I'll see you at the end. Okay, so we are at the end of round 7. And what we need to do, well, first and foremost, there are 60 stitches all the way around. It's okay if it cups. Again, it's a hat, so it's fine. And we should have ended with a front post treble crochet. Right there. And now to close out round 7, we need to insert the head of our hook in the first stitch. Right there. And then slip to close. Now what we need to do is chain 1 and go back into the stitch to create a single crochet. For round 8, we are going to do a single crochet all the way around our circle. Let me back up a little bit. We're going to insert a single crochet all the way around here, 60 stitches, just like that. And I like to think of these rows here, the single crochet rows, they're binding rows, because when you do front post trebles, there's a tendency to have like space in between the stitches, but when you insert these single crochets, it tightens up your project. And I always say, just trust the process. Oops. Just like that. And so continue on with round 8, single crochet, 60 stitches, and I will meet you guys at the end back over here. Okay? Okay, friends, so I have reached the end of round 8, 60 stitches. And this is where you should be. And now to close out round 8, we want to insert the head of our hook into the very first single crochet and slip to close. And now what we're going to do is a round of the treble crochets, double crochets. Okay? And so for this particular round, I just want to make it clear that the first stitch from 2 rows down here and the chain 1, they're all considered to be 1 stitch. Okay? So to start, we need to chain 2. Okay? And we need to insert our hook down here for a front post treble crochet. Okay. Go through 2, go through 2, and go through 2. And it should look like this. Okay. And so now, to continue with round 9, it's going to consist of 60 stitches alternating between the front post of treble crochets and the double crochets. So if we pull this back, this stitch right here gets skipped because that's what this is. So this next stitch right here gets a double crochet. Which also happens to be on the top of the post here. It's all one straight line. Okay? So now we're going to wrap twice, and we're going to go in between the 2 posts down here. So we're going to go here. We're going to go around this stitch, like so, like that. Okay? Let's do it again. So we'll pull back and just show you the skipped stitch here, and we're going to insert a double crochet here, which happens to be right above the post from down here. So it's alternating. Okay? So we've done our double crochet above the post from the previous rows. Now in this next stitch here, the next thing we need to do, since we're alternating, is a front post treble crochet. So we wrap around twice, and we're going to come in between the previous posts from previous rows. So it's going to alternate like that. Okay? Pull back. If you turn your work, you will see right here, and right here. It's just 1 stitch that was skipped. You can always do that to just verify. Okay? But yes, so for round 9, we're alternating, making sure that we want to make sure that we're not putting a front post treble around the previous one. We're going in between, if that makes any sense. So wherever you see a front post treble from the previous row, right above it, you're only going to do a double crochet. And then you're going to do a treble in between the previous trebles. So you're, 2 rows down here. Just like that. And then in the next stitch, you're going to do a double crochet. And then in the next stitch, you're going to wrap twice, come down here, and perform a treble crochet. Front post treble crochet, sorry. The next stitch gets a double crochet. And then in the next stitch, a front post treble. Just make sure you're not grabbing the post, as I said before. Just go in between. Just like that. Make sure you're wrapping around twice when you need to. Okay? So this next stitch gets a double crochet, and then the next one a front post treble. So you wrapped twice, come down here, go around the stitch, go through 2, go through 2, and go through 2. Just like that. Don't worry about the spacing. All of that will come together in the process. The concern needs to be making sure that you're alternating. Okay? And just to give you a glimpse of what we're creating, it's this. So, like I said, it looks all spacey right now, but in the process, it all comes together. It looks great. Okay? So now we need to do a double crochet in the next stitch right above the post from the previous rounds. and then a front post treble. We wrap twice, go down and around, pull through 2, pull through 2, pull through 2. Okay, so continue doing that and all the way around here for round 9, and I will meet you at our starting point. Okay. Okay, friends, so I have reached the end of round 9, and you should have ended with a double crochet. Okay. If not, I would just turn the work and just make sure that only one stitch was skipped from the previous row. If you see this line here, just make sure that there weren't 2. It's just 1. It should look uniform all the way around for 60 stitches. Okay? So, to close out round 9, what we need to do is insert the head of our hook into that front post treble crochet from the beginning of the round, like so, like that. We're going to grab the yarn, slip to close, and then we're going to chain 1. Okay, and so for round 10, it's going to be a round of single crochets. It's going to be our binding round. So round 10 is just a round, of single crochets, just like that. And just a word of advice, please don't make your single crochets too tight, because you're going to have to go back into them to insert the double crochets. Okay, so go ahead and do that. 60 stitches for round 10, and I will see you back at the beginning of the round. Okay, friends, so I just finished round 10, and to close it out, what we need to do is insert our hook into the very first double crochet. But I just want to let you guys know to not make the mistake of inserting it into any of this. It's very easy to miss. So what you need to do is, once you have your 60 stitches, just come back over here to the beginning of the round. This little bobble here is your chain 1 from the beginning of the round, and then we did our single crochet here. So just make sure that you insert in the beginning here and not into like the chain 1 or anything. So slip to close and then chain 1. Let me just readjust here. Okay. So this particular round, for round 11, what we need to do is we are going to do double crochet right in the stitch we just came out of, just like that. Okay, which is above the post from the previous rows. And now, since we did our double, this is our alternating row. So we're going to come down here and do a front post treble crochet in between the previous ones. Okay, so wrap twice, come down here, come around, go through 2, 2, and 2. And then above this post, which is the stitch right here, if you're not sure, just pull this back and make sure there's a skipped one here. You're going to insert a double crochet, just like the previous row. Okay, and then come down here, insert your treble crochet, making sure that you're not going into the previous post here, you're skipping it. And then the next stitch gets a double crochet, but make sure you're skipping, like so, like that. Just make sure you're skipping your stitches. Okay. The next stitch needs to be a front post treble crochet, and it's going to come down here. Now, since we're working in a circular motion, the stitches are going to be at an angle, and that's fine. Just make sure that, 1, you're alternating, and 2, that you're not going into any of the posts. You're going in between the posts. Okay, so come down here, wrap it around, go through 2, go through 2, go through 2, and then right above, insert a double crochet, making sure that you skip the stitch right there where my finger is. Okay, so continue doing that, and we will continue round 11 with 60 stitches, and I will meet you at our starting point. Okay, so I have reached the end, round 11 here, and so I just wanted to show you this. So before I enter in my last stitch here, I just finished my double crochet here. That's my 59th stitch of the round. So to do my 60th one, I need to do a front post treble crochet, which is actually going to be next to the one here, right? So I just need to take a quick look at all this and make sense of it. So we need to go around. We need to go around all of this. So it's the chain one and the double crochet from the previous rows. So you're going to go around both of those like that. Go through two, and go through two. And it should look like this. Okay? And then what we need to do is insert our hook in the top of the very first stitch of the round. And okay, so there's that. All right. And then we're going to chain one to move on. So we just backtrack here. Slip to close and then chain one. Okay. And then now for the next round, for round 12, it's going to be single crochets all the way around. It's our binding row. So single crochet in the very first stitch we came out of, and single crochets all the way around. And just continue on with the single crochets, and I will see you at the end of round 12. Okay, friends, so I just finished, I came to the end of round 12, so I'm going to insert the head of my hook into the first single crochet, and we're going to slip to close and chain one. So for round 13, 60 stitches, what we're going to need to do is, okay, we're going to see how there was a front post treble here. So now there needs to be one here. Okay. So let's see here. Let me just make sure. 1, 2. Yeah. So what we need to do is chain two and then wrap around twice, come down and around, and then perform like that, and you'll see a pattern here if it's correct. Okay, so the next thing that we need to do is insert a double crochet in the next stitch, which is going to be right above the post from the previous round. So pull this back, make sure there's a stitch that you're skipping, which is that first one right here. We're going to put a double right into that one right here. So we're going to go into it, go through two, go through two. Wrap twice and go in between the posts. Go through two, and go through two, just like that. And double crochet. It's going to be an alternating pattern, guys. So front post treble, double crochet, just like round 11. And just going to repeat that pattern all the way around for 60 stitches. And I will see you back at the beginning. Okay? If you have any trouble, just rewind and replay just to make sure you're laying the stitches in the correct place. Okay? Just remember 2 key points though. Your double crochets go above the posts, and then your trebles go in between the previous trebles, if you ever get lost. Okay? All right, I'll see you at the end of the round. Okay, so we are at the end of round 13, and you should have ended with a double crochet and 60 stitches later. Okay, so to close out round 13, what we need to do is just slip to close just like that, And what we're going to do is we're going to change colors. But before I do, I just wanted to share with you guys that you can actually change the colors at any point. In this previous one that I did, I changed the colors right after the crown. And then I did some rose, and then I did some rose. And then, I just kept it that way. But you can change however you want. In this particular case, I kept the crown purple and all the ribbings up to this point purple. So the way I'm counting it is by the front post treble crochets. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4. So after the fourth one, which on here too, 1, 2, 3, 4. After the fourth one, I changed. So this is where I'm actually going to change my color. So the way I do color changes, it's very simple. I cut a nice long tail like that. Let me take my hook back out, and then I just pull out to disconnect. Okay? And then I'm going to pull out some of my off-white, nice healthy amount. Okay, and now I'm going to insert my hook back where it was, like that. And I'm going to insert my hook back into this stitch here. I'm going to pull through, and then now I'm going to grab my new color, just like that. I'm going to wrap it around my hook and pull through, just like that. And chain 1 to lock it. And after you chain it, you're going to flip your work just like this and get a couple of good knots in there. Just like that. And then we're going to just do a second one for reinforcements, and we will sew that in later. Okay, so to begin round 14, since we did an alternating row for round 13, as we can see here, right? So for round 14, what we're going to do is we're going to do single crochets all the way around in this new color. So we've already chained 1, so we're going to leave that as it is. Go back into the stitch that we did, the join and everything in. Just do that. And then in every stitch, you're going to give the stitches, if I can get it to work, a single crochet, just like this, all the way around. And again, don't mind the spacing. It's fine. That's why we call this the binding row. It holds everything together, and it makes the hat look whole, which is what we want. Okay, so continue doing this, and I will see you at the end of round 14, guys. Okay, so here we are at the end of round 14, and it should look like that 60 stitches later. Still doing 60 stitches. And what we need to do is join to the beginning of the round. So obviously we're going to skip this piece here, and we're going to jump here. But before I go any further, I'm going to change my hook to the dark hook, just to make things a little easier to see. And now what we need to do is we need to insert our hook into the first single crochet. We're going to grab that, we're going to slip to close, just like that. And so before we start, I kind of like to look down, like here's the first stitch, what was going on 2 rows down here. So down here we began the round here, just kind of evaluating here. We started the round with a front post treble crochet. So we're going to start this round 15, with a double crochet, but we need to chain 1 first, and then into the stitch that we were coming out of, we're going to do a double crochet, just like that. And then in between the posts here, we have a double crochet. We're going to come down in here and do a front post treble crochet. Let me grab some yarn first. Go through 2, go through 2, and go through 2, just like that. And then right above the post is this stitch right here. We're going to give that a double crochet, just like that. And this pattern repeats again like previous rounds, round 11 and round 13, just like that. Double crochet, front post treble, just like that. Okay, and you just want to make sure that it's alternating. You want to continue that all the way around, 60 stitches, and I will meet you back at the beginning here. Okay? Okay, friends, so I've made it to the end of round 15. And so what it looks like now is we started the round with a double crochet. We needed to end the round with a front post treble crochet for 60 stitches altogether, all the way around, okay? And so what we need to do to close out the round is to insert the head of our hook in the beginning, the top of that double crochet. So we insert and slip to close, just like that. We're going to chain 1. We're going to go back into that stitch and insert a single crochet. So for round 16, it's our binding row. So it's going to be single crochets all the way around for round 16, just like this. And continue doing this for round 16, and I will see you back at the beginning. Okay, friends, so for round 16, you should have ended right above the front post treble crochet for 60 stitches. And so what we're going to do is insert our hook into the very first stitch of the round, grab the yarn and pull through, and close that off. Okay, so for round 17, it's as in with the other rows here. What we want to do is go around these 2 stitches here, but first let's make sure we have 2 chains there. Okay, then wrap around twice, go around both parts of that stitch. And then what we want to do is go through 2. It's a little tough. Let me start over here. So wrap twice, go around, grab your yarn, wrap over, go through 2, wrap over, go through 2, wrap over, go through 2. There you have it. Just like that. Okay. And then now, just pull back, make sure we're skipping a stitch. We're going to go right into that next one right there with a double crochet. And then now we're going to wrap around twice and come down in between these 2 posts, go around just like that. And perform a front post treble crochet. And then in the next stitch right above the post from the previous round, we're going to insert and perform a double crochet. And then the pattern just repeats, front post treble, and then double crochet. So we're going to repeat this for round 17, alternating between the front post trebles and the doubles as is from previous rows. And I shall see you at our starting point over here for 60 stitches, by the way. Okay, guys, so the end of round 17, I ended with a double crochet, and just to verify, the first stitch in the round was a front post treble, so that makes sense. No 2 leg stitches next to each other. Okay, so to close out round 17, what we need to do is go to the top of that front post treble crochet like that, grab the yarn and slip through to close, chain 1. So for round 18, it's another binding row. So what we need to do there is go ahead and instead of doing single crochets this time, what we're going to be doing is double crochets. I'm sorry, half double crochets. Get it right, one. So it's going to go half double crochets for around 18 all the way around, just like this. Wrap over, go in, and go through all three. So you're going to continue to do that all the way around for around 18, and I shall see you at our starting point. Oopsie. Okay, so I've reached the end of round 18, and 60 stitches later, this is what you should be looking like. And so to close the round, I'm going to insert the hook into the first half double crochet, grab your yarn and slip through to close, chain 1, and we're going to do another round for round 19. It's another round of half double crochets, starting with the very first stitch we came out of. Half double crochets all the way around, like so, like that. And I will see you guys at our starting point. Again, this is round 19. Half double crochets in every stitch for 60 stitches. Okay. Okay, so I've made it to the end of round 19, and this is where we should be looking, or this is what we should be looking like after 60 stitches. And what we need to do is insert our hook into the very first half double crochet, grab the yarn and slip through to close it out, chain 1. And so for round 20, our last and final round, what we need to do is go back into this stitch, but what we're going to do is wrap over and literally go in between. So we're not just doing the back loop, we're doing the back loop and the third loop. So let me just insert and show you. So let me just do this next one here. So this is the stitch, right? You have the 2 loops. So if you tilt a little further along, there's another loop back there, and that's called the third loop. It's this one right here. So wait, you have the first one, the second one, and the third one back here. So what we're doing is we're inserting our hook into the middle here, right? And then we're coming out the back there, just like that. And it gives off a little ribbing effect at the end here. Let me just show you what the finished one looks like here. So there's a little bit of a ribbing. If I tilt it, you can really see it. Just gives it a nice little detail at the end here. Okay, so let's just go ahead and wrap over, go into the top, and just aim down, and it will naturally just pick it up. There's no hunting. You don't have to look for anything. It'll actually just come, it'll come through. So if you're looking directly at the stitch like this, wrap over, insert, and aim down, and it'll naturally just pick up that third loop. It's quite easy once you get the hang of it. It takes a few tries, but once you get it, it's fine. And we're going to do that for each stitch along our last row here, the 20th row, or round, I'm sorry, 20th round. Just aim down. And every now and then, I'm sorry, I'm getting off camera here. Just every now and then, just flip it around and look to make sure that you're picking up both of those stitches. Yeah, so that's kind of the effect that it's giving here. Kind of nice, right? If you're not comfortable with that, then by all means you can continue with the half double crochets, or you can even do the back loop only. It's completely up to you, however you want to do that. Let me just get that, okay. So yeah, it's just going to be half double crochets all the way around for this final round. And I shall meet you guys at the beginning of round 20. Okay, so here we are finally at the end of round 20. 60 stitches later, this is where we should be. And so what we need to do is insert our hook into the very first stitch of the round, grab the yarn and come through to close it out. And what I like to do is I like to chain 2 and cut off by leaving a nice little tail like that. Then I pull through just like that, and then I take my 2 fingers, I pinch above and squeeze down to create a double knot, just like that. Okay, and so now I'm going to sew in my ends. I'm going to fold over just like that, pinch, push through. And since this is the outside, I'm going to sew on the inside. So I'm going to flip this around like this. And I'm going to do the zigzag technique. So I'm going to create a letter Z. So I'm going to go through. Make sure that when you're sewing in your ends, you're going through actual fibers that will hold everything in. So I went one way, now I go in the opposite direction, making sure to go through some fibers. There we go. Then pull through. And then we're going to go back one more time, grabbing some other fibers here, just like that. Okay. Then we're going to grab the scissors. Nice and close, just like that. Now we have one more to deal with here. So I just fold over like this, pinch, shimmy it in there and pull through. Go down to the end like that. And I usually pinch with my fingers the yarn and the needle together so it doesn't escape out of the eye. I just go through some fibers here. No rhyme, no reason. Just like that. Pull through. Then I'm going to go back in the other direction. And then finally, one last run through here. Going through fibers just to make sure it stays. Okay. If you noticed, I kept the white to the white side, and I'm going to keep the purple to the purple side, just to have it look consistent there. Okay. So let me just pinch this, shimmy it in, perfect. Slide down to the end and pinch, and then do the same thing. I used to weave in my ends not going through the fibers, and then I noticed that my ends were coming through. I'd have little pieces all over the place. And this doesn't have to be perfect. You just want to make sure that it holds. And going through fibers is the one sure way of making sure that that happens. Okay. Just like that. Okay, let me just go back here to the center. And a lot of people do this in the beginning. I wait till the end. So I grab my little tail and I pull tight, just like that. Well, maybe I pulled a little too tight. Okay, and my tail's a little too short to actually do anything with, so I'm just going to clip it. But if your tail's long enough, I would put it in the needle and sew around the ring here. But just trim it like so, like that. It's underneath, so no one's going to see it. And that, my friends, is the end of this tutorial. So this one here is the tutorial hat. This here is the original hat. Very nice. And this is just an alternative to the alpine stitch. The traditional alpine stitch, as you're going to hear me say, consists of front post double crochets, and I decided to make that triples just because I actually like the stitch definition, I like the texture, I like the way it feels. To me, using a treble crochet just makes more sense for what I like and what the pattern calls for. It actually looks really nice. So okay guys, that wraps up the tutorial for the hat. I will have a separate tutorial for the scarf, and yes, I can't wait for you guys to see it. This is just a little sneak peek of the actual scarf. It's a 4-row repeat, a piece of cake. You're gonna love it. Feel free to tune in and give that a look-see, and if you're into this pattern and everything, feel free to join in and make it. So that's all I have for you guys. Until the next time, guys, take care. Have a great one.